All right, cool. Guys, I'm in shift and I am going to be reading from page 72 and 73 today. However, before I do that, I want to share something with you that Jason Caput shared on Facebook this morning. He shares some notes from the MAPS mastermind, spring mastermind that he was just attending in Nashville. And he goes on to say, during one of the breakout sessions, the topic became choices. So write that word down, choices. One of the moderators, Craig Zubler, who works alongside Liz Landry, made the simple comment, people who choose, choose. From there, a lengthy discussion ensued. Here's what came out of it. KW is a company built on tried and true models. They have been tested over and over, and simply put, they work. In fact, they work extremely well. And then he writes in all caps, if you choose to implement them. The models work if you choose to implement them. When you choose not to follow models, you make less money. When you choose not to follow models, you make less money. You work harder and have less energy. You know, I'm making calls yesterday and I talked to an agent that I've been speaking to for probably 5 years now. She's not with KW. She is a great real estate agent, well known in the Coral Springs area. She just doesn't happen to be with Keller Williams. And I asked her, how are you doing? And her response was to go on and tell me that 2022 has been a challenging year so far. So I asked her specifically, where are you having challenges? And she said, finding seller listings. Duh. And I asked her what her solution was. Well, she didn't have one. Wait until things get better was her solution. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. She went on to say, you know, John, I've been watching what you guys are doing in Coral Springs, and it's pretty impressive. What are you guys doing? So I just shared with her a couple of the ideas that I shared with you over the last 6 months. And she's taking notes, I can tell, because she's asking me to repeat what I'm telling her. And all we did was have a simple conversation around this. And here's the conversation. You can either wait for people to want to sell their home, or you could be the reason they want to sell their home. And she said, wow, I've never heard that before. Well, of course she hasn't, because she's working in a company where they don't have these conversations. And then I shared with her, it's simply a daily choice, Debbie. And I said, Debbie, here's what I mean by that. You've got to get on the phone and you've got to talk to people and simply ask them this question. Here's the question. Are you ready? She said, yes. What's the question? I said, here it is. When you're talking to people you know, because she's like, John, I'm not going to cold call. I'm not going to call expires. It's just not who I am. I'm not doing any of that. I'm like, that's fine. Don't. But with every person you talk to, every person you know, the conversation should include, hey, by the way, the market is super hot right now. There are lots of buyers who are looking for great homes like yours, and there's nothing for sale. And just out of curiosity, who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home now or in the next 6 months? She goes, wow, I could do that. And I said, I promise you, if you'll do that 20 times a day, you're going to get seller listings. Okay, you guys tracking with me? Now back to you. You have a choice. Like Jason Caput is saying in his post, you have a choice, and the choice is simply to have those conversations or not to have those conversations, or simply to follow the model or not to follow the model. When you choose not to follow models, you make less money, work harder, and have less energy. So if knowing that all you have to do to reap the benefit is to implement the system, then why do so many avoid doing so? Good question, right? People avoid simplicity because it's hard. Boy, write that down. Simplicity, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. We want a more complicated answer, and simple is easy. And with one question, he goes on to talk about the gentleman who's leading the mastermind. He fleshed out all of the pretenders when he asked, explain to me how having 20 relevant conversations a day doesn't get you where you need to be. Boy, that's a good question. Rather than, are you having 20 conversations a day? Why aren't you? Tell me how having 20 conversations a day isn't going to get you where you want to go. In other words, prove me wrong. I'm telling you 20 conversations a day leads to success. Now I want you to prove me wrong. Tell me how it's not. How many people do you think were able to answer that question? The answer is no one. The answer is no one. No one could say, here's why it doesn't work. There is no singular argument against it, period. So if you are unwilling to do this, you need to ask yourself some tough questions because, as I have said before, this market is about to get a lot tougher and you need to be ready. You know, this is a guy, listen to him, it's wisdom, right? And this is a guy who took 2 years to make that decision to join Keller Williams. As intelligent as Jason Caput is, and as brilliant as he is at conveying a message, it still took him 2 years to buy in. He was one of those who were saying, I hear you, but no. Just like the agent I was talking to yesterday, who isn't getting the results that she wants, but then she goes on to tell me, I'm still not ready to make a move, John, but if I ever do, I'm coming to your office. I'm coming to Keller Williams Coral Springs. It's the only office for me.
What does that look like? That's what I'm thinking. What's the holdup?
3 years, she's comfortable. She's comfortable. We choose comfort over discomfort. Having 20 real estate conversations a day is not comfortable. I brought my notes from yesterday because I wanted to show you, not tell you. I made 53 dials yesterday. I talked to 19 people and I scheduled 3 appointments. Now, the reason I talked to 19 people is because my standard and my decision was the last month's been hard. I've been dealing with a lot of personal stuff. And this weekend was the conclusion of that month, and it's time to move on and time to get back to work. And this conversation with myself was, John, it's time to get back to your standards. And my standard that I've been living by since forever is 3 appointments. I don't stop talking until I've got 3 appointments. That's it. I'm going to keep having conversations until 3 people say, sure, I'll meet with you. And that took 53 dials, 19 conversations, and I got 3 appointments. Big deal. I don't want you to hear anything about me. This conversation's not about me. Tony Robbins would say, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not. I'm trying to impress upon you that if I can do this, so can you. If I could do this, anybody could do this. Nothing special about me. Now, here's what Gary Keller says in Shift, page 72. An inconsistent approach can get you leads. Inconsistent works some of the time. It will get you leads. Those leads will turn into listings, which will turn into sales. You can be inconsistent and be successful, but it won't give you anywhere near the number of leads you'll need when the market shifts. Well, I have news for you. The market shifted. That's in the rear view mirror. In spite of what you see when you go to stats on Friday, and you hear how great the market is doing, I want you to ask, how is it doing for me? With 75,000 real estate agents in South Florida, there are more real estate agents in your market than there are homes being listed. You hear me? Monthly. You hear me? There is fierce competition for seller listings. The market shifted for you a long time ago. You're going to need a lot of leads, and that means you're going to have to do a lot of lead generating. You must do it every day. You must do it several hours every day. You must do it every workday for the rest of your career. This is not hard. This is, hey, Wadner, John Dietz. I just wanted to give you a call and see how you're doing. How's your family? How's work? If I had a referral for you, are you accepting new clients? What's the best email for me to send those referrals to? What are you doing for fun? What are your dreams? Hey, before I let you go, just out of curiosity, the market's pretty hot right now. We're looking for homeowners that are thinking of selling. We're actually looking for great houses like yours, and there's nothing for sale. Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? 20 times a day. That's it. It's not that hard, and it's extremely hard. And yet you've got to do it every single day for the rest of your career. To do this, you must subscribe to one simple belief. Dealing with business never takes precedence over finding business. Never. You must adopt the position that until your lead generation is done every day, nothing else should get done. Until your number one priority is done, everything else is a distraction. Back to Jason's post. Choices. KW is a company built on top tried and true models. They have been tested over and over, and simply put, they work. In fact, they work extremely well if you choose to implement them. What I'm talking to you about today is a lead generation model. These models work. And the lead generation model that I'm discussing with you today is 20 conversations a day. Until 20 conversations a day happens, nothing else happens. Until 20 conversations a day happen, everything else is a distraction. When you have 20 conversations a day, you're going to get busy because you're going to find people who want to buy a home. You're going to find people who want to sell a home, and you're going to be busy listing homes. You're going to be busy writing offers. You're going to be busy negotiating contracts. And no matter how busy you get doing those things, 20 conversations a day is still going to be your number one job. It's never not going to be your number one job. And when you make having 20 conversations a day your number one job, every day you build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. And guys, you don't have to learn dozens and dozens and dozens of scripts. Yeah, I want you to learn all of those, but right now, all you have to learn is, who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? That's it. Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? 17 words. That's it. Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? That's it. Now, you know how I'm going to know you're doing this? When I look at the weekly listing report that comes out from the office, we've got 25, 30 listings, 35, 40 listings a week. You hear me? That's how I know you're doing this. Now, are we getting those numbers right now? Not even close. So I know we're not doing it. Why are you not doing it? Because you chose not to do it. Now, that might be a little bit too direct for some of you. Tara Carter would say, sorry, not sorry. All right, talk to me. What'd you hear? Raise your digital hand, raise your physical hand. Talk to me.